Hey, what's up, everybody? Back with another one. Now, we finally got the information that we've been waiting for. Now, this presentation that Sony did for this particular information on the PlayStation 5 is what they would have done if they would have actually made it to the GDC conference and did their presentation with Mark Cerny. This is very similar to what he did with the PlayStation 4, like I said in the other video about this announcement coming up. So, let's go ahead and hop into the specs and see what we actually get on the PlayStation 5. Now, the CPU is, of course, the AMD Ryzen Zen 2 with 8 cores and 16 threads. And it has a variable frequency up to 3.5 gigahertz. Now, the GPU is, of course, is the AMD Radeon RDNA 2 based graphics engine with ray tracing acceleration and a variable frequency up to 2.23 gigahertz, which equates to roughly 10.3 teraflops. Now, comparing that to the Xbox Series X that has 12, this has 10.3 teraflops. The system memory is 16 gigabytes, and of course that's GDDR6 RAM, which has 448 gigabytes a second of bandwidth. Now, the SSD, the storage on this particular system, is 825 gigabytes, and the bandwidth or read bandwidth on this is 5.5 gigabytes. That's pretty damn fast for SSD. Now, comparing to what's going to actually be coming out in the future, those speeds are going to be faster, but for right now, 5.5, that's pretty fast. That's faster than what's actually on the Xbox Series X. We knew Sony was going to do a custom SSD, but I did not expect the speed to actually be at this level. I know they did that whole interview that they did, and they said that it was going to be at a faster speed than what's on the market, and at that time it was like 3.5, so they surpassed that, and even when this comes out, they're going to be faster speeds out there. But comparing this to the Xbox Series X, that SSD is going to be ridiculously fast. And of course, we know that this will have a Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, just like the Xbox Series X, and it will support the same video output for TVs, which will be 4K 120 Hz TVs, 8K TVs, and has a specified by HDMI version 2.1. I believe the Xbox Series X is, I think it might be 3. I might have to check that, but I think it's 3. And of course, the audio on this is going to be 3D audio tech. And when Mark Cerny explained what they're trying to do, they're trying to make it so when they utilize the 3D audio tech, that it's not one of those things that's just for people who have a pricey sound system, that you can actually just have just a good up-to-date TV and the sound system will be able to be used on the earphones, how you have your system set up. They went into all this technical things about how they did like these readouts to measure audio from different people. I was like, damn, they really took it that far. But it was a technical presentation, so it was deemed something that they would actually do for something like this. I'm personally interested in trying to see how this 3D audio works out in the long run, being that you can use headphones or a elaborate setup or expensive one or a cheap one, and it's supposed to emulate 3D sound, like you'll be able to hear something coming from the left, the right, or even behind you. Or what the one thing I liked about it was they showed the diagram of somebody just sitting in front of a TV and how the sound travels and how the 3D audio will affect the person. Now, me personally, I actually want to test this out and see how good it is. They put a lot of work into this, and I want to see if they actually executed it well enough that I'll be like, damn, that actually impressed me. We'll see when it comes out. Now, when you're stacking this against the Xbox Series X, you got to think about the CPU. Now, the CPUs are pretty similar. They both have a 8X Zen 2 cores, but the Xbox Series X is at 3.8 gigahertz. And the PlayStation 5 is at 3.5 gigahertz, so it's not too much of a difference there. Now, the big difference that people are going to pay attention to the most is that for the GPU, that the Xbox Series X has the 12 teraflops, and the PlayStation 5 has the 10.28 teraflops. And the GPU on Xbox Series X is 52 CUs at 1.825 gigahertz with a custom RDNA 2. And of course, the PlayStation 5 is 36 CUs at 2.23 gigahertz. Now, they said they went for this because this was pretty much the sweet spot for them in this particular situation with making their graphical processing unit. So we'll see what it comes down to. Basically, what this is going to come down to me personally with teraflops, is that you're going to have a third-party game that's going to come out on the Xbox Series X and then on the PlayStation 5. And of course, we know that third-party game on that Xbox Series X is probably going to run a bit better because it's going to have more breathing room as far as the GPU when it processes stuff. So we're going to have to give it up to that in that particular situation. Xbox is going to win on that one. It's going to have third-party games, and they're going to use that extra bit of power to make a smoother experience. We've seen it before with systems in the past, with one system had it running better and the other one had it running a little bit less better. But you basically get the same experience, just a little bit smoother. So Xbox Series X is going to win on that end, for now at least, unless we see some optimization with the tools that they give to developers, since Sony has pretty much catered to developers when they developed this PlayStation 5. So we'll see how much that actually works out in the long run. Could be something, could be nothing, but we'll see. But those 12 teraflops are going to make that slight breathing room that's going to give Xbox that nice little advantage in the long run. 52 CUs versus 36 CUs, we'll see. But PlayStation 5 has those CUs running at 2.23 gigahertz at variable frequency, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm not the biggest tech guy, but we'll see what that does in the long run. Now, both systems actually have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM in them, and the PlayStation 5 has 256-bit on theirs. Now, the memory bandwidth difference is going to be what actually, I think, what gives Xbox Series X the ability to actually run games and then run older games and actually let them do like enhancements to it, I think. So what we have with the Xbox Series X is we have 10 gigabytes at 560 gigabytes per second. And then they have 6 gigabytes at 336 gigabytes per second, where the PlayStation 5 has 448 gigabytes per second. Now, the thing that's so crazy to me is that the memory bandwidth on this compared to that is going to be one of those things, like when I look at it from the perspective of, okay, when you're using an Xbox, let's take last generation. Well, we're still in this generation. Let's just say the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One X, for example. Like when you're using a Xbox system, when you switch between the game and you go to the user interface, it's faster and smoother. When you're playing something on PlayStation 4 and you switch to the main user interface, in certain situations it's slower, it clunks up a little bit. Doesn't do it all the time, but every once in a while you hit that home button on that PlayStation and you try to switch between screens, it freezes up or slows down because it's too much stuff running at the same time. I think this is going to be one of those situations where the Xbox is going to have the advantage in this, because you're going to be able to do multitasking of different features more easy. Like, for example, when they showed that Xbox Series X thing where you did the game pause and jump in between the games, I think that's something that really utilizes both of those memory bandwidths at 10 gigabytes and 6 gigabytes on the Xbox Series X. But I can't jump too far ahead with that, because you have to think about this with the custom SSD that Sony has. You're going to be able to access stuff on the hard drive faster. And that's probably going to be that thing that makes up for the lack of that with them going with the custom SSD on the PlayStation 5. You're going to be able to get to information on your hard drive faster than you would on the hard drive that's on the Xbox Series X. Now, don't get it twisted. The Xbox Series X has an excellent SSD on it, but the PlayStation 5 SSD is faster. And it's going to be interesting to me to see how that interacts with comparing as far as the memory bandwidth on both systems and then the SSDs being similar, but the PlayStation 5 SSD being custom and faster. That's going to make for some interesting situations there. So that's going to be one of those wait and see, because that's going to be very, very interesting in the long run. And of course, we know that the Xbox Series X has a 1 terabyte expansion card that's supposed to actually go with it. So if They're going to expand the memory. If you've seen the Xbox Series X little memory card, it kind of reminds me of the throwback to the memory cards, like on older systems, like on PlayStation 2 or like on the Dreamcast. You have the expandable memory. I think that's pretty cool. And of course, expanding the memory on the PlayStation 5, there's going to be an SSD slot, so you can put a new SSD in there if you want to. But Sony does warn to wait and see after they've tested the newer SSDs to see if they're compatible with the PlayStation 5 all the way, so you can actually get an SSD that actually matches up to the custom SSD that they will have on the system. So that's a good thing to know. A little warning: don't go out there and go buy an SSD drive and then slap it in your PlayStation 5 on day one. Wait, let them test it, let them see which ones are approved and which ones will actually be as fast as the custom SSD that's 825 gigabytes that comes with your system. So that should be another little interesting thing to look at. And of course, they both have external storage with the USB 3.2 on the Xbox Series X and USB HDD support on the PlayStation 5. And of course, both systems both come with 4K UHD Blu-ray drives. So there you go. 4K into the future, everybody. Now, finally, when you look at them compared to each other on paper, the Xbox Series X is going to be more powerful. What it's going to come down to for the PlayStation 5, it's going to be the custom SSD and their custom chipset that they put in there. What differences can it really make in the long run? Because, of course, it can run at 2.23 gigahertz at variable frequency. Now, of course, this is more of the technical aspects of the system. Of course, the road to PlayStation 5. But when are we going to get that splashy, get you hyped up presentation? Because we still haven't seen the system. We still don't know the price on either system for the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. And I really want to know, being that the features are almost identical but different at the same time, how much will that affect the pricing on each system? Because you can look at it from the standpoint of, hey, look at the specs on this and the specs on that. Maybe it'll be cheaper. Or look at it from, okay, they're almost the same specs, so you might end up having to pay the same price for each. Or are we going to have the price war and they undercut each other? One's going to say one price and the other one's going to come right behind that and undercut them just so they can get that initial install base going. So we'll see. It should be very interesting, but I still want to know what that price is going to be. And I want to know what the system is actually going to end up looking like. That's going to be very interesting because we haven't seen the system, we haven't seen the control, and we haven't seen any games yet officially from both companies, from Microsoft or Sony. So at this point, I'm not going to say we, because that's me assuming what other people would actually like. But what I would like to see at this point is that, okay, we got the specs out on both systems. Now let's get to the point where we get to see the games. Let's see some of the games in action. So we'll probably have to wait a couple of months for that to see any real gaming for both of these systems, because I'm interested in the first party titles, of course, and what different things we'll get out of the third party titles. But I'm mostly interested in the first party titles because you have PlayStation always comes with those hitters. Xbox has a couple of hitters here and there, but not enough to keep up. But they've acquired enough studios that at this point, they better drop some fire. Don't drop any shovelware. Don't acquire all these studios and just push out mediocre games. I need Microsoft to come with some hitters to make me say, okay, let me spend this money on this Series X. Don't make me say, oh, I'll just get it on PC. It'll run on my PC just fine. Don't do that. Make me say, damn, I gotta have this on my Series X. Because PlayStation, it's guaranteed they're gonna have hitters. They still got hitters dropping now. We still got Last of Us 2 and we got Ghost of Tsushima coming out. Come on, man. They still dropping hitters. I just want to be surprised by some of the stuff that both systems will be dropping. Give me some surprises where I'm like, damn, yeah, gotta burn through that money. But we shall see. So comparing both systems, similar but not similar in certain aspects. I think it's going to really come down to all this custom stuff that each system actually does. because you got 12 teraflops versus 10.28 teraflops. It's not that big of a difference, so we'll see. Of course, it'll be execution and using what power that they have, the utilization of the hardware and the software. But otherwise than that, that's about it, folks. We got our information. We know what the specs are on the PlayStation 5. And looking at these specs, this makes me think, oh yeah, a couple of years we'll have that PlayStation 5 Pro popping up out of the corner out of nowhere. It'll most likely happen. I'm pretty sure Xbox Series X will drop another version, which I don't think they should actually do. I think this is powerful enough. They might drop that, what was it, the Lockhart system, the one that's a little bit weaker and cheaper, but it'll be above a Xbox One X. We'll see. You never know. Trying to penetrate the market any way you can out here. I see you, game companies. But that's about it for this. We got the features. We didn't get an exciting presentation. We got the technical presentation that they would have got at the Gamers Conference, the Gamers Developers Conference. We got that presentation. So a lot of people were like, oh, it wasn't exciting. It wasn't going to be exciting. You should have known that. You see, if you watched the PlayStation 4, wrote the PlayStation 4 in details and all that stuff when he did the presentation with Mark Cerny. He just does the technical presentation. He breaks it down so he understands it. And that's it. He's not a cartwheel get happy guy. So that was expected to some extent. I thought we were going to actually get him doing his tech breakdown, and then we might have got like a little splash presentation with like some preview of some games or something. But Microsoft and Sony will be doing multiple presentations for us in the long run. I just wish they had a schedule already set out where they would tell us when they're dropping them. That anticipation of waiting in between actually kind of gets you happy and angry at the same time. So we'll see. So we got the boring presentation from Sony this time with all the tech talk, which I actually appreciated the tech talk of it at least. And that's about it. Of course, now we wait. Holiday 2020. Save that money up, people. It's going to be a struggle. But otherwise than that, I will catch you all in the next one. All right, everybody.